Beneath the black sands of Iwo Jima lay a world no one expected. A hidden city of stone, dug deep into volcanic rock, where thousands of Japanese soldiers waited in silence. When U.S. Marines stormed the beaches in February 1945, they didn't just face an island, they stepped onto the roof of a fortress built to the last breath. At first glance, Iwo Jima seemed small and insignificant, just 8 square miles of sulfur fumes in jagged terrain. But its location made it priceless. 750 miles south of Tokyo, it sat directly between American bombers in the Marianas and their targets in Japan. From Iwo Jima, Japanese radar could spot those bombers hours in advance. Fighters could scramble to intercept. And for the Americans, capturing the island meant more than eliminating that warning. Its airstrips could serve as emergency landing sites, saving thousands of airmen who might otherwise be lost at sea. At the southern end rose Mount Suribachi, a dormant volcano dominating the beaches. Whoever held Suribachi controlled the invasion, and the beaches themselves were made of black volcanic ash, soft, heavy, and treacherous. Every step sank ankle-deep. Tanks and trucks bogged down almost instantly. Even the ground conspired against the invaders. For Japan, Iwo Jima was sacred soil, the first piece of the homeland U.S. forces would attack. Its defense fell to General Tadamichi Kuribayashi. He knew the island could not be saved, but he intended to make the Americans pay dearly for it. Instead of the reckless banzai charges that had wasted lives elsewhere, he built a fortress underground. By 1945, his engineers had carved over 11 miles of tunnels, linking more than 1,500 bunkers and chambers. Command posts, ammunition depots, artillery nests, even hospitals, all hidden beneath the rock. Camouflage doors blended into cliffs, ventilation shafts disguised as cracks in the ground. A pillbox could appear destroyed, only to come alive again minutes later. Above ground, the island looked shattered by months of bombardment. Below, the defenders waited unharmed. For 74 days before the landing, American battleships and aircraft hammered the island. To many Marines, it seemed no one could survive that storm of fire. But Kuribayashi's men were safe underground. On February 19, 1945, 70,000 Marines hit the beaches. At first, resistance was light. Some thought the enemy had been destroyed. Then, minutes later, hidden guns erupted. Mortars and artillery swept the beaches with pre-sighted fire. Entire sectors became killing grounds. The silence had been a trap. From that moment, the battle was unlike anything the Marines had seen. Snipers fired from unseen caves and vanished. Machine guns blazed, then disappeared back into tunnels. At night, small teams crept out to toss grenades into foxholes or whisper in English to keep the enemy awake. The Japanese seemed like phantoms, appearing and vanishing at will. No ground felt secure. At first, the Marines tried to seal the tunnels from outside. Bulldozers buried entrances, flamethrowers poured fire into openings, explosives collapsed chambers. Flamethrower operators, among the most exposed, often died within minutes of revealing themselves. But the island could not be cleared from above. Volunteers had to go inside. With flashlights and pistols, they crawled through suffocating corridors, knowing each step could trigger a trap. Booby wires, grenades, and sudden ambushes waited in the dark. Some tunnels opened into vast chambers, command centers lined with maps, storerooms filled with ammunition, or underground hospitals where wounded men lay on mats. Marines stumbled into eerie scenes of final stands, of mass suicides, of bodies arranged with rifles stacked neatly nearby. Victory underground was never final. Clear a chamber, and defenders might circle back through another passage to reoccupy it. Among the wreckage, Marines found family photographs, farewell letters, and good luck flags. They were reminders that their enemy, though ferocious, was also human. Sons and fathers obeying impossible orders. But the mindset they faced was unlike anything familiar. To many defenders, surrender was shameful. Out of more than 20,000 Japanese soldiers, only a few hundred were taken alive. Most chose death, by grenades, starvation, or desperate last charges. General Kuribayashi himself died with his men. His body was never found. For the Marines, it was haunting. Many admitted they feared the silence more than the gunfire. In those tunnels, silence meant someone was still waiting, with explosives, with ambush, with death. By March 1945, the island was finally secured. Nearly 7,000 Americans had been killed. Almost the entire Japanese garrison was gone. The image of Marines raising the flag on Mount Suribachi became one of the most famous photographs of the war, a symbol of victory, courage, and sacrifice. Yet, beneath that triumph lay the darker truth of the tunnels. For decades after, survivors spoke of nightmares, the smell of sulfur, the echo of footsteps in the dark, the fear that the ground itself was alive. Japanese survivors recalled thirst so fierce they drank seawater, and the silence after comrades chose grenades over capture. Even after the war, holdouts continued to emerge. The last two surrendered in 1949, 4 years after Japan's defeat, emerging gaunt and half-wild from the depths. Today, many tunnels remain sealed. Thousands of soldiers' remains still lie underground. Japanese recovery teams continue to search, leaving offerings of water and sake at cave mouths, tributes to those who died of thirst in the dark. For Japan, the island is sacred ground. For America, it is remembered for valor. The tunnels of Iwo Jima stand as both warning and memorial. They reveal the extremes of human determination, to endure, to resist, to sacrifice, and the terrible cost such resolve can bring. Beneath the black sands, silence remains. And in that silence lingers the memory of men who fought, suffered, and never returned.